Hey, it's Kat from Kat's Books, and I am here today to do my October wrap-up. So I'm basically just going to go through all the books I read this month, which is a bit of a pile. It's more than I've read in a long time, and I'm really excited to get into it, so let's do that. The first book on my list is High and Dry by Sarah Skilton. Now, I finished this in the very beginning of the month because I started it late September, and it was fun. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, which I will leave linked down below, but it was kind of cliche and it was kind of weird, but it had an interesting plot and the ending wasn't super cliche. I mean, there was parts of the ending that you could kind of see happening, but not the entire ending, so I did actually have a lot of fun with this. Now, these next section of books are the books I read during the 24-hour readathon, which I did a vlog of that, so I will also leave that below. The first book I finished reading during that time was Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in this Savage Song duology, and of course I'm not going to talk much about this because it would be like spoilery, except the fact that I cried. I cried a lot, and I love this book so much. But this Savage Song duology is about a world where your actions, violent actions, cause literally living consequences in the shape of monsters. There's 3 different types of monsters. Corsai that are just like, you stab somebody with a knife, or you punch somebody really hard and they fell, something like that. Malachis are when you murder a human being, and Tsunais are where you do, it's a mass murder, so like a school shooting or Jonestown, they would all create Tsunais. In this particular book, our main characters is Augustus Flynn, who is a Tsunai who wants to be a human being, and Kate Harker, a human girl whose father dictates one side and really wants to be a monster, just not like a monster in this world, kind of like, it's difficult to explain now that I said that, but yeah, it's a very fun duology by the wonderful Victoria Schwab. She's so good at world building and really writing creepy characters, especially villains, and I highly suggest this duology. The next book I finished this on the 24-hour readathon was Hellboy in Hell: The Descent Volume 1. Now, in case you didn't know, I'm a huge Hellboy fan. I've loved Hellboy since I was a kid, and this was just a fun time for me. Yeah, just kind of a classic comic book. And actually, at the very end, since this isn't spoilery, there are illustrations to focus. Illustrations that are so good. They're so good. I love them so much. Next book I finished this month was Wing Poppy Midnight. Now, this was fun, and I believe I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't actually even 300 pages. It's very short, which is why I picked it for the readathon. But it was kind of like if Wes Anderson made a kind of spooky film. It wasn't super scary, but it was kind of weird, and it did mess with your head a little bit, so I would call this a bit of a thriller, I guess. But it follows 3 main characters, Wing, Poppy, and Midnight, and a tagline. It's great. A hero, a villain, a liar, who's who. And it's really fun just kind of figuring out, although I personally figured out who was who in like the first 50 pages. It's just I didn't necessarily know how who's who, which was really the meat of the story, and it's really fun, and the plot twist I did not foresee coming, so that's always a positive in my book. The next book I read was the highly anticipated, very beautiful Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. I had an absolute blast reading this. It was so much fun. It had beautiful illustrations. This actually might be one of my favorite books I've read this year. And I've read officially 50 books this year, guys. But hold on. Let me look at these illustrations. So pretty. And I had so much fun reading this because it's just so fun. And this obviously got a 5 out of 5 stars from me. Next was Vengeance Road. Gorgeous cover. Gorgeous cover. I love this cover so much. It's so beautiful and like, wow, look at that. But I wish the story was as pretty as the cover. at first I absolutely like was totally on board with this story. I didn't get why it got such mixed reviews at first, and then the romance started happening, and I was like, oh, that's why. The novel itself was really fun in the beginning. It had Series 2 Grit vibes for me, and it was about this girl on seeking vengeance for her father who was officially just killed, and it was really fun. People started dying the first chapter, and I was so on board. And then romance got in the way of things, and it got really... It wasn't good. It wasn't a good time for me. So I give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Originally I had given it a 3 because I did really love the beginning portion, and at the end it kind of redeemed itself for me, but not enough looking back, so I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. The final book I've read in October is Slasher Girls and Monster Boys. This is an anthology with 14 different YA authors, all writing supposedly super creepy books. I say supposedly because not a lot of them actually did creep me out, but they were really well written. Like, all of them had just, all of them were really interesting short stories, except for like a couple. There's one in particular where I'm like, but then again, I was also reading it like 5 in the morning, so that could be a bit of a bias for me. But this I actually did not finish during the 24-hour readathon, but I did continue and finish it this month. A quick little added thing to tack on to the end of the video, because I managed to finish this book, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I managed to finish it like last Friday, and I filmed that earlier that morning, so this wasn't included, but this is done, and yeah, it's a bunch of fairy political intrigue, and it's a lot of fun. So this is an art copy. I would highly suggest picking it up when it hits shelves in January. Yeah, just January is all I can see here. But yeah, that's all the books I have read during the month of October. November's coming up. I'm not going to read a lot. That I was really happy I read that much, because in November is NaNoWriMo, and I am participating in that, and I'm not going to be reading a lot. But yeah, comment what you read this month down below, and if you have any opinions on the books I shared, and that's all for me.